Hey, what's up, kinfolk, and what's up, family? We right back at you on a Monday. It is a Monday evening. We're rolling right into a little bit after 4 on the West Coast time, a little bit after 7 on the East Coast time. I'm Derek Stewart, your host, along with my kinfolk Isaiah, and we got our special guest back, and we're going to have him back again and again and again. We got Eddie back today. We're going to be discussing some really good topics today. We're going to just go down the list of topics that we're going to bring to you today. So we want your full input. We want your full participation in the YouTube chat area. We're going to be actually streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch TV. Twitch TV is a very good platform. It's sponsored by Amazon, but they play a lot of video games and stuff over there, but it's a good platform to be able to do sports podcasts on. It's a lot of groups over there. And we're going to be expanding our Facebook group so people can join. I know there's a lot of Facebook groups out there, University of Miami Facebook groups, different Facebook groups, but we're going to have our own, and we're going to customize it for you to come on and join our group and be a part of what we do every week. Because we're here for you, because you're family, and we want to bring you things that you want to hear and things you want to talk about. So if you like what you're seeing, just make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to us, because we are a growing community. And as big as we grow, the more we can expand. The algorithm takes care of us in all of these platforms. We have TikTok. We've been doing extremely well over there. So just make sure you hit us up on all of our sports platforms. So we'll unpack some of the things after I introduce my special guests today, which is always Isaiah is a special guest. And Najee's not going to be with us today, but Najee will rejoin us in our next show. He's away on assignment, so he will be joining us. And we'll go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in Isaiah. Isaiah's got a hat on. He's looking like he's got a lot on his mind. So tell us a little bit about what you got on your mind today, Isaiah.
So much on my mind. It's just weighing heavy, man. I had a magnificent week. All this college football going on in this fluctuating of the 12-game playoff series. And, well, it was nice. My Dolphin pulled out a win. It was scary at the end because they almost looked like they was trying to find a way to give the game away. They went fourth and like one. And instead of that full running back going there and put his head in there and just go for it with even the tush, he tried to bounce it off outside and got tackled at a loss. Boy, I was livid. Oh, man. I've always been a guy who could jump like modernly, not like a basketball player. But you know what? I jumped as high enough to slam dunk when I seen it. I was so pissed off with him. The object of 4th and 1 is to hit the hole. No, all of this dancing and doing the merengue and the cha-cha and all that crap. Hit the hole, man, and keep going. Damn.
Well, you sound like you need to be a running backs coach on the team, man.
I am, but listen, dog, when you talking about a 4th and 1, you can't be out there doing the twitch and all the flinging and then doing the pole dancing and everything. Hit the hole, man. You only got so much time before you get penetration in the backfield. So, oh, man. So they pulled it out. So I was happy about that. But, boy, understand something. Hit the hole. You got seconds, literally seconds.
Yeah, right. it's milliseconds. I would say it's milliseconds because that hole can open up within a second, and under a second it can close up so quick. Man. Especially when it comes to trying to get through certain little creases between the line of scrimmage, and that's very, very difficult for a running back. Some got better eyes and better instincts than others, and the ones who's got really good instincts, they're in the Hall of Fame in the NFL, right?
Make you a hole. 4th and 1, make a hole, man. You don't freaking dancing around. Can't do that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. So let's get on to Tony and see. Or actually, I'm sorry, Eddie, because I saw Tony is with us on here. And I'm going to try to get to as many people today as I can because we got a lot of people joining us today. So I'll get around to you, and if I don't, we'll definitely make sure that you're acknowledged. So Anyway, Eddie, he's got his orange on today. How the hell are you? How was your Thanksgiving weekend, by the way? Because I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving weekend. It was a 4-day weekend, so.
Yeah.
Oh, it was wonderful, wonderful. Once again, thank you guys for having me on. And I want to wish you guys and your family and all our viewers and followers the best holiday season to come. And I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving as well. For myself, it was the weekend couldn't start it better off with a Saturday win by our Hurricanes and then follow it up with a good road victory by my Niners in a very windy Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah.
And it was great to go in there and get that W. Because that Cleveland Brown defense, boy, let me tell you.
Well, with Myles Garrett and the crew, right?
Yeah, Myles Garrett's just, I'm going to call him the alien. I can't even call him Myles Garrett. That guy's from another planet. He is such a special player, and it's beautiful to watch him play. He does it with such joy. I've never seen a player be so violent, but yet at the same time do it with such joy. It's a beautiful thing to watch when a football player at that caliber it really enjoys what he does. And his craft is just he is unique. He is unique.
He is very unique in a lot of different ways.
I gotta call him the alien because, when's the last time we had a defensive end like that? I think maybe Javon Curse. What do you think, Isaiah?
Yeah, that's probably the last time. Javon Curse was amazing, man.
Because these guys are long. They long and they can get around offensive tackles so quickly, a lot of times.
Yeah, they can power. They play both games. They play the power game and the speed game, so they could beat you inside and beat you on the edge. So, and our Hurricanes on Saturday, everyone was talking about the Hurricanes can't play in that weather. Our Hurricanes are hurricane. We survive everywhere. We went up there, took care of business in Pittsburgh, and now, hey, we took care of our business. Now the voters need to take care of us.
Yeah,
and they should. They shouldn't deny us because, like I said before, if you want to come down to it, and Notre Dame has been winning ever since Miami beat them. So let me repeat: Miami beat Notre Dame. So if they're both with identical records, to me, the voters should be thinking about, okay, who beat who. And now Texas is even talking about their, they say that they belong in there because they beat Texas A&M, and that was an undefeated team. So it's going to always be teams or schools just going to say, look, we belong in there. We don't care how many games we lost. I think Texas lost 3 games. So if you lose 3, you should be out as far as I'm concerned.
There's no conversation with 3 games.
Yeah, because you got too many undefeated teams at the top.
Yeah.
One thing that is not being mentioned is, if you recall back in the late 90s, early 2000, Miami goes down as only school in the history to be the number 1 team, number 2 team in the nation, and not play for the national championship team. And the number 1 team in the nation was FSU, that happened to win the national championship, and they got beat by us that year. So if we get cheated out, it won't be the first time.
True.
And no one's mentioning this. I don't know why. They are. I am surprised they are giving us some love. They are giving Miami some love, and I'm extremely surprised by that. But we'll take it because I like to say, we just want to get to the party. We want to get to the party and take care of business. And right now, we are the hottest team in college football.
I agree. Yeah. Totally agree.
One thing about Notre Dame, they're not in the conference, so they could tap dance any which move they want. And they got that following of people that always be in the ears of the ones who's going to pull the trigger on who get where. So that's one thing for them. Yeah.
No, and they're always going to be the darling with all the communication people that they have in the business. They're always going to be the darling,
Yeah.
And it's been that way since I've been around to see Miami play them, even back in the 80s. When Cleveland Gary basically was down. He was already down. The ball came out, and they gave Notre Dame the ball because they wanted Notre Dame to win the game, obviously, to me. And I'll remember that play just like I remember that play with Ohio State with that last pass. Those are the 2 plays that are nightmarish to me when I think about them,
Absolutely. And there's another one that I'm gonna throw a third one in there. The fumble by Santana Moss on the road against Washington,
mm-hmm.
which is the game that we lost that I was referring to earlier. They kept us from getting to the national championship, and they put Florida in there. Florida State, I'm sorry.
I remember that. I think that was when Ken Dorsey, that was his first year, right? I believe. Or was Ken Dorsey the quarterback?
Ken Dorsey was the quarterback, yes.
Yeah, I think I remember that game at Washington up in Seattle. Yeah, correct. I do remember that game. Yeah.
Yeah, the Washington came the next year to the Orange Bowl, and I believe it was 67-10 or 67-0. We took care of business next year.
Yeah.
The following year.
Listen, there is no place like Miami. There is no talent like Miami. I'm biased for Miami because I grew up in Miami. You're looking at a full crew of Miami supporters, people who, know a lot about the program, especially Eddie. Yeah. Eddie's got a lot of intel into the program and everything that we don't have. So we're so happy that Eddie will join us and kind of carry us along for the whole ride with the University of Miami. By the way, a lot of people don't want to give Cristobal credit, but listen, Mario Cristobal, Coach Cristobal, I think he's done a fairly decent job, especially since they've lost those 2 games. He rallied that team back. I mean, and that team is playing above the rim. You got Shannon Dawson, who's the offensive coordinator. You got defensive coordinator, I believe his name is Corey Higgs. I can't remember his last name, which I apologize. Yeah, which I apologize. He was University of Minnesota's DC last year. He has got that defense dialed up. Miami's defense is not giving up much at all. So I'll tell you a little bit about my weekend. I had a great weekend starting on Thanksgiving Day. I spent some time with the wife. We ended up having dinner because we didn't want to cook. And we had a really nice time. Friday, I watched a Texas game against Texas A&M, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And I feel good. I'm just still trying to figure out a way to eat more healthier and eat better. And I hope you're feeling the same way, to eat healthy and eat better, because you are what you eat, and it depends on your life. I mean, your life depends on it, should I say. Because if you don't eat right, guess what? It might catch up with you eventually. So make sure that you are paying attention to what you consume into your body, whether it's a liquid or whether it's food. So let's talk a little bit about some of the topics. We're going to have about 4 hard-hitting topics today. We're going to talk about Lane Kiffin's departure from Mississippi. What are the implications on his departure from Mississippi? Where does the program go after he leaves? Because he's leaving now because they are not allowing him to coach the team into the college football playoff, and we'll discuss that as well. And we're going to talk a little bit about the recap of Miami, and we're going to talk about the recap of that Texas game, because one thing I will say, Arch Manning has been getting a lot of criticism, but he stepped up in this game. I mean, he really stepped himself up. He did what he needed to do. Texas's running game was a little bit more effective against A&M, and A&M wasn't an easy team to beat. I mean, they played all the way to the last draw. And we'll talk about coaches' departures. They've added some coaches into the mix, into these schools. So let's get this party started, and let's start off with this first topic, and I'm going to go a little bit into it. That Lane Kiffin accepted an offer, which most people thought he would accept an offer from LSU. Now, LSU, to me, is a better program than Mississippi, historically, I would think, in a lot of ways, because Mississippi has a lot of history. Ole Miss has history, but LSU is a more bourgeois job, if I could say bourgeois, in terms of, getting notoriety and just reaching the top of the mountaintop when it comes to winning national championships. I don't think Mississippi has won a national championship as far back as anybody can remember. But LSU has been winning them, although they haven't won one in a long time either. So what's going to happen is I suspect that Lane is going to go there and he's going to turn the program around immediately, because he doesn't have a lot of time to turn it around. Now, they're giving him $13 million a year. Technically, he signed like a $91+ million contract, 7-year contract, around $91 million, making him one of the highest paid coaches in football, in college football. I talked to some people on the side, and they were saying just what Eddie mentioned the last time we did this show is, look, NIL is what's driving a lot of this. So with NIL driving these massive contracts with these coaches, it's going to continue to elevate up and up and up. And one day we might even have somebody rolling into 15 to $20 million for 7 years or 8 years, which is, mind-boggling to me coming from a state institution. I could see maybe a private institution when it comes to the donations and all the people that's putting money behind the program. So what I want to do is start out to say Lane Kiffin has been coaching for a long time in football. He grew up in it. His father, Monty Kiffin, was a coach in the NFL for decades. And Lane grew up as a little child growing up around football. So he was very acclimated with how the football, world worked and all of those things. So what I want to do is start out with Isaiah and ask Isaiah, was this a good decision on Lane Kiffin's part to take this job and, take it to the next level at LSU? Would you say this was a better decision than him just staying at Mississippi?
Well, I love progress, man. I love achievements. And he's done it. I mean, if you look at every place he's been, even the place he's got fired, it was something that he added to that program. And like you said before, he's not a fly-by-night coach. He's, a student of the game. He's been around. He coached under Nick Saban as an offensive coordinator, and he's got all the tangibles of one of going to be probably one of the best in college football. I mean, because he's just got that swag about him. But the way he done it, man, it was just sleazy. It was like a horror, man. It was really, really a nasty way of how he departed. One thing about how he did it is I've never seen a coach so prolific that pull a stunt like that, even though you might have that way of saying, I think I'm going to move up and take this job. But at least you don't be parading around right in the middle of you going to the playoff with your team. You will let the season die down. You will lose the game and you will be out of it before you make those type of decisions. And from what I understand, he still want to coach their last game or whatever, to finish the season out. But you just slutted yourself out. And how in the world you want these people to keep you there to be under an organization where you just put your foot on their neck and say, I'm out. And then it's just have a really weird precedent for coaches, man, to look like they're nothing but sleazebags from jumping from one place to the other, especially in the middle of the season. Now, you get fired because you wasn't doing a good job. So I guess he said, I'll do this because I'm doing a good job. But it just don't bode well to me. And I don't see how he can even ask to coach another game when you just signed a huge deal when Mississippi did everything they can to keep him there. They fattened him up. I think last year they matched whatever.
They did extend his contract, right? Or
yes.
They reworked it to a point where they wanted to make him happy. And that's what a lot of these schools do. They rework these contracts, especially if, high profile jobs like LSU and Florida or any other program that's a high profile program. Yeah.
Come. And see, look at what Florida did to him. Florida just said, forget him because we see what kind of guy you are. They made it look like, well, if he get over here with us, he might do the same thing to us. So, I'll take my name out of the hat. So Florida said, go on about your business. It could have went twofold. Maybe they're going to say, no, we're not going to beat this deal. Because I did not see Florida offer him that same deal. From what I seen before was that $91 million and the extra $25 million of incentives attached to it. I didn't see Florida come close to that. So Florida probably said, no, we're not doing this because it's always a 50-50 opportunity anyway for you to turn a team around just because he did it in FAU and then he did it in Mississippi. That don't necessarily mean he's getting ready to go kick some butt in LSU. Sometimes it don't work. He went to UCLA or one of those teams over on the West Coast, and he got fired from over there. So we never know how this thing gonna pan out.
USC, really he got fired out of USC. He wasn't very successful at USC.
Right.
So let me ask Eddie this question. Give me an angle, Eddie, on the money aspect of it. So this is a once-in-a-lifetime offer. I've been reading, clips that Lane asked a lot of very experienced coaches, what should he do in a situation like this? Because this is a once in a life. You don't get another opportunity, I don't think, like this. Now, if he would have won a national championship at Mississippi, they might have come close to giving him what he wanted. What would you think about the money angle of it, Eddie?
The money angle is that, first of all, I didn't think he was going to leave Ole Miss. I thought he was going to stay there because he has tremendous recruiting class there. He had a lot of financial backing at Ole Miss. Obviously, LSU, it's a bigger fish. It's a bigger profile program, and they needed to make this move in order to stay relevant with the Texas, with the big schools of the SEC. So that, I think that's the angle. The angle is that LSU couldn't stay behind because then they will fall in the same chip as Florida is. Florida's falling behind, and they're playing catch up. And it's tough to play catch up in today's NIL world of college football. But one thing that I want to mention outside of that is the kids, and Isaiah touched this up. And these kids, they're undefeated. They're top ranked in the nation. They have a real chance to win a national championship, and this guy walked away.
In the middle of it.
Yeah.
Not in the middle. I mean, we're about to embark.
You're right there.
We're there. Yeah, we're there. We're 3 weeks away from
being in a better spot.
True.
You literally
So
couldn't be in a better spot, Eddie.
The ones that lost here are the kids. Now, I think that's a huge advantage in recruiting, both in recruiting and NIL for any other school. Can you trust this guy? Because look, he's leaving these kids in the altar now. In the hands of the DC, he's well qualified, but it leaves a lot of question on Lane Kiffin, and I think it's going to hurt him this year's class. We'll see. At the end of the day, money talks, but we'll see. A high character person will not want to go to that school, just for the fact of how he left these kids on the altar. That was a very bad situation, and Isaiah brought it up, last week. It's totally wrong. It's totally wrong. But again, it's a money situation. LSU has big boosters. They got big money there. We've seen them how they were basically the number one sports program in the nation for a good while there. They had a good baseball, basketball, and football. It's hard to dominate the big threes, the big threes, and they sure did. They won national championships, and all of them. And let me remind you, there's a gentleman by the name of Skip Bertman who was there. And I don't know if you guys remember that name, but Skip Bertman, he is from the University of Miami. He is a local Miami kid. He coached in Miami Beach High. He coached in Miami High. He's a baseball coach. And he's been the one that truly put LSU in becoming this great program. And our current AD at Miami was under him at LSU. So hopefully something rubbed off on him.
I have to totally agree with you two guys. Now, here's my angle on it. I think both of you guys are right up spot on that he did let those kids down. Now, he did say that he actually, mentioned that the kids wanted him to coach them throughout the playoffs, but the athletic director declined to do that. Now, the athletic director had every reason to decline to do that because of the way he left. The way he walked away from this program, to me, is more of a character issue, and it's more of an issue where you can't trust him in the trenches because the next school could come along and say, look, we'll give you $50 more million than what LSU offered you, and he'll bail out with that because he's already bailed out on the school before. He bailed out on Tennessee, and they never forgot it at UT in Tennessee.
Remember this week we also have National Signing Day.
Yes.
So that's a
huge factor.
That's a huge factor, him to jump boat now and not lose a good class going into LSU. But we'll find out. We'll find out what kind of kids he's going to get coming to LSU.
Well, he's gonna rob Mississippi about 7 or 8 of them, I think. And the reason I added Rob in there, he's going to take these kids with him. He's going to take these kids with him, mainly Trinidad Shamlis, who's a great quarterback for Mississippi right now. I suspect that he'll probably get into the transfer portal. It's going to be multiple kids that jump in that portal or follow Lane over to LSU, I suspect, because the money is going to be there for them in NIL, and that's what's going to lure a bunch of them out. Wouldn't you say so, Isaiah?
Yeah. Well, I tried to look at that and kind of weigh it the same way what happened to James Franklin. But the difference is James Franklin was fired. He wasn't just, put his name in the hat and say he was going to just go to another team, to Virginia Tech. He was fired. And see, he had an opportunity to speak with his young man and say, well, listen, this is what happened to me. I'm leaving. And a lot of those guys really, really honored him as a head coach and a father figure, and they really want to play for him. So they're going over to Virginia Tech. And Lane Kiffin's position is not the same. This guy took off because he was a whore. He just really wanted to leave, man, because he's got a better bag. So that's not the same ordeal, and these kids are really suffering because you think of a kid who say, wow, man, my father, like the Mannings. Archman, he played there, and then of course, Eli played there. Peyton went over to Tennessee, but he almost went over to Mississippi as well. So you got kids that's watching that program for a couple generations and this passing down, and then they got a good situation where they can win a national championship, and here it is, the head coach take off right at their end of it. I mean, you imagine those tour days of practice when it's hot and gritty and nasty and it's stormy, raining during the rainy season, and here it is, you embarking on your ultimate goal is to win a national championship, and your head man just takes off. That got to be heart-wrenching, man. It's got to be so deeply embedded with sorrow that he's leaving you. Your guy who you entrusted, the guy who came in your living room and sold this thing to your parents to get you to come there, and now he's leaving. It's ugly, man. Super ugly. Yeah.
Your architect leaves the building.
Yes. So how does the building get built? How do you finish the building, right?
Correct. Yeah, the architect left the building.
And he took the blueprints with him. When he left the building, he took the freaking blueprints with him.
Yeah.
And the sad part about it is Mississippi is going to get the business now. They're going to catch hell, man, because I have respect for Pete Golding. Pete Golding is a defensive-minded coach. He coached at Alabama under Saban, but Pete Golding is no Lane Kiffin. Do you agree?
DC, these guys gonna leave with him. You crazy? He built that with these coaches. They're his buddies.
Pete Golding has accepted the head coaching job at University of Mississippi.
The staff that he got currently.
Some of them will.
He got currently. Some of those guys leaving.
Yeah,
they're leaving with him.
The most loyal ones to him will leave. Correct.
I heard there's four assistants that are leaving with him. The rest are staying behind.
Yeah, because those are the ones that he want to come. The rest of them he probably don't want.
Sad that he doesn't want it. Isaiah, Lane Kiffin's he's not an easy person to deal with.
No, he is not. He is not.
Heavy luggage.
I recognize that, man. He's a product of Nick Saban because Nick Saban did him the same way. Nick Saban chastised him when he was the coach. I've seen him on the sideline when he used to get in his rear end if he called a play that he didn't think was the right one, and he just got it respectfully the way he acts. His attitude has come naturally when he was coaching under a guy like Nick Saban. So man.
Lane has an arrogant type of attitude, and he has a type of attitude and a type of from what I pick up from what I've watched on TV, because I don't know the man personally, but it seems to me that he has this ruthlessness about the way he goes about his everyday business. He don't care about these schools. He don't care about these schools. He don't care about them kids, and I firmly believe he don't. Now, he has to prove to me he does, because at the end of the day, it's all about wins, and he wants to win, and he wants to get the most money out of it when he's winning. Now, I don't know how you think about that.
We haven't heard Brian Kelly's name being mentioned anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, if I was Brian Kelly, I'd sit still for a while. I wouldn't be looking for no job. He just got upwardly $53+ million. Yeah. Come on, man. Why would he? I'd be barbecuing for the next 2-3 years before I even think about a job.
Yeah. Well, unless you like
but he doesn't,
James Franklin, who's somebody.
It's not his favor right now, DC. So 2 years for him, it's dinosaur years right now.
I told DC this is a blue tag, man. This guy is an antique. He don't have time to wait. Either you jump back in there and start coaching, or you just retire altogether. That's what
Correct.
his. You can't jump
Yeah,
back out there. He'll be just
you
like
know,
Brown, who went over to North Carolina, who thought he can get back out
Mac
there at
Brown.
70-something years old.
Mac
And the same
Brown.
thing with Belichick. He's out there with with his antique self, and these kids is not responding to him. That all that NFL stuff is behind him. You got these kids are your great grandkids, and then he thought it was going to boost him up because he had a 28-year-old girlfriend. That was one thing, but man, you too old to be out there, man, trying to find a new place and start something brand new. You need to finish this thing out. You can't wait 2 or 3 years. You know how fast times are changing, and the kids are changing their way of playing, their way of thought. All of that is changing, man, and you can't
absolutely,
spare a couple years.
absolutely,
Okay, so now
absolutely.
here's the thing. Let me put both of you guys on the spot here. I'm going to start with you, Eddie. If you were
Okay.
offered $91 million to go somewhere, would you take it or would you stay right where you are? Tell me what you think.
If you
I know
offer
it's
me
hard.
90,
It's not easy, correct?
look, if I've been in the game for let's say over 10 years, I've already made over $50 million. I've won, and I'm comfortable. Believe it or not, I'll leave the money on the table.
You would leave it. Okay.
I would leave the money. Yeah, if I was in the same situation as Lane Kiffin, I stay in Ole Miss because, as you mentioned before, they've never won a national championship. Okay, so why not be part of that or building a history? You know, it's nice to go to LSU, top program. It's sexy. They've won. They have the pedigree. But you're just another one. As part of being legendary in Ole Miss, I stay. I leave the money on the table and I stay.
Okay. How about you, Isaiah?
See, Eddie is that guy with that good moral character about him. Lane Kiffin don't have that. He
Hey,
don't. He
who
don't have
would?
that,
Who would when you're offered
man.
$91 million and some change?
DC,
Guess
DC,
what?
listen, man. Don't miss this boat with what I'm saying, man. I have no problem with him even leaving. It's the way he left. If he would have played these games out, won or lost, when the season was over, that same amount of money would have been sitting right on the table. Because LSU and him, they had been talking all along. They knew they was going to get him. That's why Florida backed out of it because they know they couldn't deal with the type of money that was sitting on the table. So why don't you wait another couple weeks and do this transition, man? Because it hurts so many people behind it, man. You just imagine the guy who brought him in, the athletic director who brought him in, and the student body who got to see him every day on campus. It's a huge stab in the back. It really is. Now, if you just waited till that 2 3 weeks is over, and you went over there on your private jet, flew in, and got to meet everybody over there, the staff, and it would have been no problem with it. I wouldn't have had a problem with it. It's hard to turn down money like that. You could tell these kids, well, listen, man, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. The school bigger than yours, and there's kids over there. I'm gonna, be able to coach as well. That sits better than you 3 weeks before the season is over. You
Mm-hmm.
go parading around on a tour. I mean, like as if he didn't even have a doggone job. He had a game that week, and he was over parading around at Florida. And he had a game that week, man. That Monday after they had kicked butt on Saturday, he was on a plane in Gainesville.
Well,
That,
let me play devil's advocate here. What if LSU told him that they weren't gonna wait for him? They didn't have
that's
time to
BS.
wait. They were gonna
That's
move
BS,
on.
DC. No, that's BS. It's no way they're gonna put that type of money on the table and not wait 3 weeks. You crazy? There's no way. If they went that far to make it so outrageous, what nobody else didn't even think about bringing him in, you know how bad Florida want to win right now, and they couldn't match it. Florida is desperate as H, bro, as hell. They really I know so many of the big time boosters. I know a lot of the elite former players at Florida, and they wanted him like crazy, but the money couldn't add up, BC and Eddie. They couldn't match that, man.
Oh, Florida has
They
issues.
couldn't.
Florida has issues now.
Yeah,
They got
that's
huge
very true.
issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So here's one of our top commenters, and I'm gonna bring him in, and he made some valid points here. Mr. Hugo 61 says that if I had Brian Kelly's money, I'd be barbecuing for the rest of his life. I totally agree with that. Now here's another one. He says, "What the heck is Florida thinking about to bring in Dave Caldwell in as a general manager, because he's one of the worst GMs in the NFL history, because I think he was the GM at the Jacksonville Jaguars. You think it's a good idea that Florida brought in Dave Caldwell as a GM? Because a lot of these schools are hiring GMs now. I mean, they have athletic directors, but I think the athletic director is over the GM. The GM falls right up under that, correct?
Well, the GM, what they do is they run a specific program, and in this case, they're running specifically just football, only the football operations.
Yeah.
So they're the ones in charge of bringing in the NIL money, you know,
Yeah.
and just basically
They're
running it,
focusing on one job
running
then
just
as
football,
opposed to athletic
only
director.
football. That's all they're concerned.
Yeah.
And the AD is running the remaining of the athletic
Everything.
department.
The
So
athletic
Everything else,
department,
yeah.
correct?
Right.
correct,
Yeah.
yeah. We've been seeing that. You know, basketball started that in a smaller scale, and now football has adapted.
Caught
For
on.
example, for us at
Right.
University of Miami, our first GM was Alonzo Highsmith.
I remember that. I remember
Yeah.
Alonzo Highsmith was hired as GM, and he was at the Green Bay Packers for a while. He's been with the Houston Oilers before they moved to Houston, Texas, because that's who he got drafted by, was the Houston Oilers. Alonzo Highsmith.
So he was here for the first 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was about here first 3 years he was here, and now he's gone. So yeah, the general manager, all they do is take care of football.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before we close this Lane Kiffin thing out, or should I say saga, one thing is for sure: there is no loyalty amongst schools, nor there is no loyalty amongst coaches. There is no loyalty at any level of an administrator that wants to win, because these schools at the bottom line, they want to win. They don't care how they go about winning. They just want to win, because it brings all different types of revenue to the school. I mean, I'm talking about tens of millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars.
That's clearly understandable, man. I mean,
Correct.
I didn't
It's a
even
high
think
stakes business now.
Yeah, I didn't even think that the University of Miami was going to land Cristobal, man, and because Cristobal had built Oregon up. I mean, even though he's a guy who was born and raised here and played at Columbus High School and went to UM and all that stuff, but I really didn't think they was going to have enough money to bring him here. But it goes to prove what they'll do to bring you in if they want to win, and that's what they've done. So this is happening in every facet of sports right now. Yeah.
I think it goes back to what I mentioned about Florida.
Yeah.
You know, 4 years ago, we were Florida. We don't make that move. We don't come up with that money to get Cristobal to come down to Miami. We're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
We're in trouble. So
True.
we understood as a program that we needed to go out there and get the big fish. And it wasn't a big fish in college football, but it was a big fish for our program. What does that mean? That Mario Cristobal is the man that is responsible for bringing in all this money that's being dumped into the program for NIL money. So we went out and we got our big fish to save our program, or at least to keep us relevant. And that's what we've done.
Absolutely.
And that's what we've done.
They surely is relevant. They are relevant right now.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we are relevant.
Everybody's talking about yes.
We're one loss. We're one win and one loss away from being an automatic into the playoffs, and we would have been playing for the conference championship game. That's relevant.
Yes.
You know, we wish we would have been in that situation, and we should have been in that situation, but unfortunately, we're not. And these are the cards that are dealt. So we just got to play them.
Okay. So before we move on to the next topic, I'm going to go ahead and get some predictions from you guys. Is Lane going to win a national championship in the next 3 years?
No,
Next three
no,
years?
Correct.
no. I don't think so.
No,
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 no.
no, no.
What makes
That's
you
why they
think
give him a 7-year
what
deal.
makes you think he won't win one? Is it just the other teams? Is the competition level and the talent level is just too vast for him to be able to compile and put together a team that can do it?
Listen, he took the quiet road to get back into the elite level. He went to FAU, he went to
Yeah,
Ole Miss, and now he's back to LSU. What does that tell you? You know
Tells you a
that this
lot.
guy, when the lights are on, when he's in the big program, he somehow finds a way to mess it up. So I think he's going to get in his own way.
Okay.
I just don't. I don't trust him in the big stage. I just don't trust him. He messed it up in SC. He messed it up in Alabama. He got fired. So he's gotten fired in all the big programs.
Yeah. I mean, I
yeah.
remember when SC
Well,
wouldn't let him
he's
board the
got a
school
track
bus
record of
back
getting
to the
fired.
school.
Yeah,
He's got
and
that track record of being
that's the way
fired.
program. And SC back then was Alabama.
Yeah,
They were
they
Alabama.
were a very talented team when he took it over.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah.
They were the elite team of college football.
Yep, because Pete Carroll left it like that. I mean, he left somewhat of a kind of a black cloud behind him, but he still left talent at that school. I mean, there was enough
Correct.
talent to win a national championship, to me, in my opinion, back then.
He was their Larry Coker.
Yeah,
Mr. Potato
yeah.
Head.
Mr.
That's
Potato Head, they
Mr.
ran
Potato
him off.
Head.
Yeah,
And you only found out he was Mr. Potato Head when he took that hat off, when he took that baseball cap off. You saw it, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Identical twins.
So Isaiah, you've already predicted he's not going to do it either, correct?
Right, correct.
Okay. All right. All right. So let's push on to this next topic and let's talk a little bit about some of the hires for coaches in college football because we've had so many. I think this is one of the few years, as far back as I can remember, two or three decades where you've had this many openings at the Division I level for college coaches. Wouldn't you say so? Because I mean, big schools, Power 5 schools, they still haven't even filled in the blanks yet. I know Penn State still have not hired a coach at this point. I heard Brian Dable's name surface. And I don't know whether that's, fake news or whatever you want to call it. But
Lane should have done, DC. They probably got their eyes set on the guy who they really want, but they just going to let the guy play out the season like Lane should have done. That's probably what it is. I mean, you get rid of your head coach and don't have a backup plan. That's not smart, and I don't think they that dumb to do that. So, and you don't see how many people just throwing their name in the hat, say I'm going over there because they probably got their person set aside, just waiting for them to finish. Well, it could be even in the NFL because their season is still going on. So they probably got who they want to hire already. Got the numbers together, everything already set. Just waiting for the season to end. That's it.
you know what's one of the most perplexing one I noticed. Mark Stoops just got fired at Kentucky, and he was very arrogant last year, saying that he wasn't expecting to go anywhere, like he was going to bogart his way and stay there beyond the administrators who telling him, look, you can't work here no more, you ain't gonna be here no more. We gonna 06 you out of here, even though you're talking about we're not gonna do it. They did it. So Kentucky is a attractive job, I think. I mean, it's a basketball program, at least historically, but I think overall, I think their football program has progressed to this point where there's enough, talent in the pool that I think they can get kids to go play at Kentucky. One of the most perplexing ones is, Jim Mora Jr. taking the job at Colorado State. Now that was mind-boggling to me because, You got University of Connecticut. Connecticut is a basketball school, but he was able to go in and parlay and turn Connecticut completely around in football. Jay Norvell could not turn Colorado State. Colorado State, to me, and I've done my homework, they don't have the NIL money. Why would he pick a job like that? I'm going to start with you, Eddie. Why would Jim Mora Jr. want to accept a job at Colorado State in Fort Collins when the money is really not there in the program, unless they got some money buried somewhere that they're going to dig up?
Well, I mean, you have some coaches like, what's his name at Boston College? He was the OC before at Alabama and New England, and he saved Penn State. I forget his name.
Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien, yeah. Bill O'Brien is one of those classic guys that he's totally against NIL. And they just want to be purists, the old-fashioned way through recruiting.
Yeah, those days are gone.
Well, Dabo Sweeney is like that too.
Dabo Sweeney is just
Dabo
like
Sweeney
that.
is a name that you could bring up like
Correct.
that.
So it may take a little
just
longer,
like
may take a year or two for him to reestablish the program, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to be successful. Well, we'll find out. We'll find out.
I don't think they're going to be
that's the reason why
successful.
he may be going to Colorado or Colorado.
That could be a potential. I don't think he's going to be able to turn Colorado State around either, because the last coach that I remember that had a pretty good record at Colorado State was the coach that got fired at Florida.
The current coach?
No, he got fired a couple of coaches before Billy Napier, I believe.
Okay, Billy Napier. Yeah. I think the two most interesting hires are Michigan State and Auburn.
Yeah,
those are two.
Auburn. Yeah.
Along with Franklin and Virginia Tech, I would say those three programs are those three programs right there are the most interesting to keep an eye on.
Yes.
Not including Lane Kiffin, because that's an easy choice, but
yeah,
Virginia Tech.
I can see Auburn winning a national championship before LSU, because this is a fiery coach, man.
You're talking about the current coach that they just hired. Oh yeah,
the one they just hired.
Yes.
I watched him, and he is a guy who you would love to play for. He's compassionate. He's fiery, man. He's got this way of connecting with these players like I've never seen, man. And he's very emotional and animated on that sideline, and he goes off on the refs and everything else. If he think a call was not called correctly, man, he don't let it live down. So
let me tell you, last year
we traveled fire like that.
Last year we traveled to Tampa when we played USF, and you're right. You're right. He brings in energy to the team, and the team just doesn't give up.
Alex Golish.
He's scrappy, man. His players are scrappy, man. Really scrappy.
Miami whooped that team that night, and they
didn't
looked
give
like
up.
it was a tie game. They just kept coming. They just kept coming. They just didn't have the talent. But you're right. He's a fiery coach. He coaches him up real well.
Yeah, Alex Golish, I think he's going to be able to make some changes at Auburn, and I see Auburn getting more competitive in the next several years. I really do. Now, if you look at the SEC and how the layout of the SEC is, it's one of the most devastating conferences in terms of talent and power that I've seen, other than the Big Ten, because the Big Ten is always up there, the northern schools and the northeastern schools. But if you have all of these schools in the SEC, and I'm going to just mention the SEC West, you got LSU, you got Ole Miss, you got Texas A&M, you got Texas, you got Oklahoma. You got a lot of these teams that are in that conference, and I want to say Arkansas is out west as well, and Arkansas just hired another coach as well. So we predicted that Bobby Petrino was going to be rehired, but no, they didn't decide to do that, because I think Arkansas wanted to move ahead. They didn't want to take a step back. They wanted to move ahead. And Bobby Petrino had every chance to win out those last games, and they might have even considered him, but he didn't. So they came up short.
I think they considered him, but they looked at it as time has passed him by. He's not the same guy he used to be. So we're going to just keep it moving, because he really wanted that job, and I think somebody wanted to hire him, but until they start seeing his action, and they just say, we're going to go ahead and pass up on him. That's what happened in DC.
Yeah.
And Eddie?
Look, Petrino, interesting you bring him up. Lane Kiffin could be the next Petrino. The hot, young, offensive-minded and innovator and all this and all that, and ends up that no one wants him. So
Yeah,
this
that's a
last
good
straw, I think.
comparison too, Eddie, because Bobby Petrino, he threw his name in every hat back in the day when he was most popular, when he was at his height in his career. Every job that came open, his names tended to pop up, and maybe it was his agent. I don't know.
And the
Right?
only thing, the difference is he's got that off the field antics though about him, Bobby Petrino.
And that's why I compare them too.
Yeah.
Kiffin and Petrino are very comparable in on the field and off the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Kiffin didn't have that scandal that Bobby Petrino had with that motorcycle issue with
little jump off on the motorcycle.
that was kind of a bad situation for Petrino. I don't think Lane has been through anything like that, but the other comparisons are spot on. You are absolutely right. And at the end of the day, Lane's going to have to produce. When he gets to LSU, nobody want to hear that you losing. But you better not start losing, because them people going to be all over him at LSU if he don't win. And they still got to fight with the Texases of the world. They still have to fight with the A&Ms of the world. They still have to fight with a bunch of different teams in the SEC West. Alabama. And that's another team we're going to talk about a little bit later on. Now, I take issue with the fact that we'll talk about it later on, and then we'll see what you guys think about that. We'll think about that, because at the end of the day, I think if Miami gets stiff, I'm going to be upset, because either Alabama or Notre Dame should not have been in it, as far as I'm concerned. That's how I'm looking at it. Because Alabama done lost some crucial games as well, and nobody's brought their name up yet.
But they're
going to fly under the radar and ease right in there. They're good
but
for
Alabama's got a good quality schedule you have to respect. Notre Dame, what do they have?
They don't. I mean, they're an independent team. They don't belong to a conference.
Everyone's making a big deal about them playing Syracuse the week after we beat them, that we struggled in the first half.
Yeah.
But it's no secret that coach from Syracuse does not like us.
Fran Brown.
Okay.
Fran Brown
He does not like us.
Yeah, he told Playmaker, he said, you know what, good game, but don't get used to this shit. He said it just like that. He told Playmaker that, and it tickled Playmaker to death. I mean, because it was funny to him, because he saw how fiery Fran Brown really is, and he is a fiery coach.
Crystal ball as well, DC.
Well, he was talking smack across the field. Yeah, and I think that he did that to try to fire his players up, but it didn't help. It didn't change anything.
This is not Pop Warner.
Exactly. So
so listen to me, Notre Dame. It's impossible it can beat us out.
I don't think they should. I don't think they should.
It's reality.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. So let's hit on the next topic, and let's hit on some fine points of the University of Miami Pittsburgh game. And I want to get you guys' takeaway. If you watched it, what was your takeaway? And I'll start with Eddie on it, from this Miami game over the weekend, because I could tell you Malachi Tony looked spectacular. He's looked spectacular when he was playing in that game.
I don't know why the school and also the conference didn't put more money into that kid when they saw that we had this special player at the beginning of the year, and trying to make him a push at least for the Heisman Trophy. Because that kid, I mean, what's Miami without Malachi Tony this year?
They would have definitely dropped 2 or 3 other games, for sure. Without
maybe
those,
one more.
Without those catches and some of the big plays that he made throughout the year that I saw him make, and especially on Saturday, that sideline pass where he stretched out to get that pass and keep it in bounds, and then he ran and he threw a touchdown. He caught it. The kid is spectacular. He will be in a Heisman candidate next year. They ain't gonna be able to deny.
Without a doubt.
They ain't gonna be able to deny it. Period.
They can't. Yeah. But going back to your question, points is we're continuing with a positive, which is creativity on the offensive play calling. I like it that again, for the third week in a row, we came up with more creative plays, and it kept the defenses on their toes.
Shannon
Number
Dawson
20,
is very good at calling those type of plays too.
correct. So we were more balanced, and you can tell by the plays how many plays we ran. I think 20-something plays more than Pittsburgh. We controlled the ball for over 10 minutes more than Pittsburgh did. I had the ball. So we took care of business. We kept their offense off the field. We controlled the football game. And that, for me, are my points from the game.
Yeah.
The continuation of creative offensive calling.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I loved about the game is the intimidation factor, Eddie, because it was that thing where we really had those players, Pittsburgh, out of their game because it was a lot of unsportsmanlike conduct calls that went our way because they were frustrated, man, because they thought they was going to bring us in there. Oh, the weather was going to be a factor because we're not used to playing
And they were going to
cold
sneak
weather
one
and
in
all
on
this
us,
type of
huh?
stuff.
Try to get a
And
quick
they
one
thought they
in.
was going to steal one from us
Try to
up
get
there.
a quickie.
And it didn't happen. They got in there and got a good whooping. And I loved it, man, because, we ran the ball effectively. The defense was crashing in on the quarterback. And it was just these elite catches and runs by Malachi Tony, man. He's just electrifying. And you got to keep your eyes on him because he does so many things. He's that type of slash where he can play every position well. I actually want to see him in a wildcat. Some of those plays where they let him throw, I want to see him run and throw the ball because he has that in his arsenal. So it's just probably waiting to use that on a team that, if they go further and get in this playoff, they'll start
So,
using some of that stuff because he
Isaiah,
just knew
we've
everything
ran it a
well.
couple times. We've ran the Wildcat a couple times with him already.
Yes, I saw that on Saturday.
Yeah,
On
but what
Saturday, I
I'm
think we ran
saying,
it like 2 or 3 times.
yeah, I didn't see that part. I was watching parts of it in spurts, but the parts that I watched, I didn't see him do the Wildcat. But it's just a good series when he run the Wildcat. I love to see him do it.
I do
Yeah.
too. You know who's most impressive? And before I say this kid's name, the defensive coordinator from Miami name is Corey Heatherman. Corey Heatherman, and trust me, Coach Heatherman, I'm gonna remember your name because you've been impressive since you've gotten to Miami, and you can see his passion on the sideline and how he's coaching up that defense. That them kids out there, they head hunting. They ain't playing around.
Yeah.
Them linebackers that Miami
Yeah.
got. And
Yeah.
and you got
That game
Bain,
tackling
Ruben
thing is always
Bain,
what I wanted them to
Our
do.
DBs.
Mesidor.
Yeah.
Them guys be bringing the heat, boy. I love.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes,
listen,
sir.
Coach Heatherman,
Yeah.
you doing a damn good job, and I hope he stay there for a while because he reminds me. And I'm not gonna put him in the same boat as Randy Shannon, but Randy Shannon had that defense dialed up back in those national championship eras where nobody could get no yards on Miami. Period. And that's where we're headed with Corey Heatherman. So
I thought you were going to compare him to Greg Schiano because he reminds me more of Greg Schiano.
Greg Schiano. Okay, yeah, Greg Schiano used to coach the defense at Miami. I remember, and he's a Rutgers coach right now. He's coached at Rutgers twice, and then he coached for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that is a good comparison, Eddie. I agree.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to compare him to. And I'm a bit disappointed in you, Isaiah.
On what?
You're not throwing flowers to your Miami Dolphins defensive line coach at University of Miami.
There you go,
Yeah,
Jason Taylor,
I
baby.
am. We got to
Jason
get
Taylor,
to that because
JT.
remember, I was going to make reference of that, Eddie, because they were saying even this week where Cristobal had kind of cleaned up the defense but left Jason Taylor intact. So yeah, we talked about that already. Yeah, man, Jason is really doing something, and he looks like a defensive coordinator too, Eddie, because every time the offense is on the field, he round his troops up on that sideline, and he's coaching his rear end off over there. Man, I'm loving it. Jason is doing a great job over
Listen, Jason is doing an
he's
extraordinary job at University of Miami.
He really is, and he's gotten more responsibility. Remember, he's only 3 or 4 years into coaching.
Right, coaching. Yeah.
So he's correct.
At
I mean,
that
he was
level,
coaching.
at least.
He was
Because he
coaching
was
Notre
coaching
at
high
St.
school.
Thomas Aquinas. He was
coaching
at
Aquinas. I remember when he was over there
Mhm.
coaching his son. He was coaching his son over there.
Yeah, but he's been here for I want to say 4, maybe 5 years tops. It takes time for you to get into the rhythm, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
just because you play the game doesn't mean you can coach the game.
That's true, and it's been proven. It's been
That
proven.
is super true, man.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of guys who was great players but cannot coach at all.
Correct. Look, very short little story that I've heard locally. When Barry Bonds was the hitting coach for the Miami Marlins, he was telling the players, when you see the seam, and the players looked at each other, we can't see the seam. He goes, what do you mean you can't see the seam? So yeah, we can't see the seam. Barry Bonds can see the seam, but not everyone can see the seam.
Yeah.
So, there's certain aspect of the games that come easy for a great player like these guys, in this case, Jason Taylor. And it's taking him a little time, but he's turned into one hell of a coach.
Yes, he has.
One hell of a coach.
I'm glad you brought that up to Eddie. That was a good point right there.
Yeah, we need to give him credits because the strongest suit on this defense is our defense line.
Yep.
Yes. And they get penetration, and when they get penetration, it disrupts the other team.
Whenever you got a great defensive line, it frees the linebackers up to roam around and make those tackles. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, so here's the kid that I wanted to give an honorable mention to from the weekend. His name is Gerard Pringle Jr., number 22. He was toting that hide, man.
Yes, he was.
That youngster was toting that hide, man. Yeah. And you know what? I think he's going to be a future star for the University of Miami the way he hit them holes. I really do.
You know what, DC? He runs the ball like with Davenport. Remember Najee Davenport?
Yes.
He hits the
He's
ball
just a little bit smaller
than
Najee Davenport when he played, but...
Yeah. They just profiled him and his family, and it's a very nice story how the family moved out here to support him and to come to every single game, every single college game. So it's nice. Man. It was nice to hear that story.
Beautiful story. Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring his name up because you look at all of the other excellent players, extraordinary players for the University of Miami, but when it's in time of need and you get a young kid like this and he steps up and he hit them holes and gaining chunks and chunks of yards at one time, it opens up everything else for all the rest of the offensive players, or if the players on defense, opens up everything for the defensive players to shine. So that's kind of how I look at it, and that is a good story. So
22 came on the map against Stanford, against Syracuse, and now against Pittsburgh. He's been really a difference maker back there. And
they need to feed it to him. I mean, Shannon Dawson, if you listen and feed that ball to him.
Yep.
Because I want to see him get it. I want to see him get it a lot more often, especially it's a 1-2 punch, because you got them backs at Miami. They got 3 solid backs. So anyway.
Yeah.
One last thing.
The Miami Dolphins running backs need to look at the way the Hurricanes run the ball. That's what they need to do.
Now, here's the thing now that you carry me back, Isaiah, to when Playmaker said that when Miami was winning all them national championships, they would go to South Beach and they would open up the velvet rope for them, and the Miami Dolphin players would be standing there trying to figure out how to get inside, right?
Yeah.
So
it's true story because I've heard crazy stories in the 80s about the hurricanes down here on South Beach.
Yeah, man.
Well, you didn't hear that story about Playmaker was finna get into it with one of the kingpins down there, I guess.
Yeah.
I've heard that story.
Yeah. And so he had to come to his senses real fast in that joint, So here's a pointer that I want to point out to you guys before we move on to NFL coverage. We got Miami sitting third in the ACC conference at 6-2. They're overall 10-2. They're 7-1 at home. They're 3-1 away. Virginia and Duke sit above them. Now, Virginia and Duke play this weekend. Yeah. So guess what? Miami might have an opportunity, I would think, to slide into that ACC championship. Wouldn't you say?
No, that is the ACC championship game.
Yeah. Oh, that's the ACC championship game. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. For some reason, I'm still stuck in the regular season here. So thanks for
Yeah,
correcting me on that.
what's been talked about is that there is a rule in the conference that they can opt out. They can substitute the Hurricanes for Duke and to play in the conference championship game. They could do that. Now, will they do that? Obviously, they didn't because they would have done it already by last weekend.
You're right.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, I see Virginia winning it all. I mean, as far as the conference championship goes, Tony Elliott has done a fantastic job at Virginia. He coached under Dabo Swinney as an offensive coordinator at Clemson, and he's done a phenomenal job at the UVA, University of Virginia. They haven't been this high up and this good in a long time, so you gotta take and give him some props. Hats off to that brother, Tony Elliott, for sure.
Yeah, he's done a good job over there.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's shift over to the NFL. Well, let's cover down the AP top 20 first, and then we'll shift over to the NFL. So I'm going to ask you, Isaiah, what do you think about that Ohio State and that Michigan game? It looked like Ohio State went in there and took care of business.
Yeah. We spoke about that last week, hoping that Michigan would go in there because Michigan seemed to turn the tide and say, we're going to start winning some of these games because for a while they couldn't get over that hump to beat Ohio State. And then, of course, they dropped one when I really thought if they win this, they're going to have a great, successful season. And they went over there and got mauled, man. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, how do you lose in the big house 27-9? Explain that to me. Can somebody tell me how they managed to lose that much? I could see a field goal or maybe a last minute touchdown or whatever.
They just was not prepared, man, because that game was one-sided. And it was like a big portion of the season went down a drain because of it. They surely weren't prepared for that. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and it looks like Michigan State just fired Jonathan Smith, and they talking about bringing in the ex-Northwestern coach. At least his name has been mentioned.
He got hired.
He got hired already. Okay.
He got hired. Yeah.
And you know what? Guess what? I don't wish any ill will on him, but I don't know if he's going to be able to turn Michigan State either. I just don't see it. That's one of them programs is going to be a project for quite some time, So let's move over to the NFL, and we'll start on our teams in the NFL. Do you think the Kansas City Chiefs at 6-6 is still going to make the playoffs this year? Either one of you can answer it.
I say yes.
Give me a reason.
That's the yes. Like New England did it for so many years. Until they are completely eliminated, they always have a chance. Now, I was disappointed they lost against the Cowboys, but they got the best quarterback in the league. They got the best quarterback in the league, and they have a pedigree, a winning pedigree. So until they're out, they're still alive.
Yeah, it looks like they're sitting third in the conference, and the Raiders is at the very basement of the conference, which I want to see what's going to be happening with them at the end of the year. But the Broncos are sitting up at top at 10-2. I mean, do you think that Kansas City is going to make a wild card slot?
I think they'll make a wild card.
And do you think they're going to be exited out early?
You know what? This
they might turn hot, DC, because sometimes
they
do it.
They did it against Buffalo.
Right.
Yeah.
They turn hot at the end, man. Getting back to that Dallas game. Getting back to that Dallas game, man. The Dallas Cowboy fans that I know, they had like they won the Super Bowl.
Well, you know what? A lot of people always talked about. A lot of people over the last few years have talked about Kansas City getting all the calls from the refs throughout the whole season. I think Dallas. I don't know what the hell the officials were thinking about in that game. They had some questionable calls against Kansas City in that game.
Man, oh man. Yeah.
And that kind of gave Dallas the spark that they needed, because Dallas, guess what? They ain't going nowhere. And even if they make it to the wild card, they're going to be exited out of there. They're going to be 0-6 real quick. And when they get 0-6, I'm going to be here with a cowboy hat on to talk with Jerry. How about that?
DC, I'm going to take back my comment, and I'm going to say that if Kansas City wins the next two games, they'll make the playoffs.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds reasonable.
I'm looking at their schedule. Their Sunday night home against the Texans. And then their next 2 games are at home against Texans and Chargers. 2 teams that are fighting for wild card position in the playoffs in the AFC. So if they win those 2 games, then they're at Tennessee, which
they should be able to handle Tennessee. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to handle Tennessee.
Correct. Second to last game, they're playing the Broncos at home, which the Broncos at that point may not be playing for anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last game, they're playing against the Raiders on the road.
That to me is a win as well. I don't see the Raiders winning another game this year. I just don't see it.
No, so the next 2 games will do tell if Kansas
Well,
City
the Texans are hot, so D'Amico Ryan's got that team dialed up now. They had some problems at the beginning of the season, and they ran into some issues with, playing a certain way, but he's got them guys playing like they can win it all. That's the way I've seen Houston.
They're getting healthy again, but they're playing at Kansas City.
That's going to be a tough one.
Those dome teams don't play well in the outdoors, especially those conditions.
Especially in the snow and cold weather and frigid weather. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the thing out of the AFC North, and then what do you think about Coach Tomlin at Pittsburgh? Do you think it's time for Pittsburgh to move on from him? Because there's been rumors swirling, and this is every year. We have to go through this every freaking year. They're talking about that man need to be removed and he needs to be replaced. Now, I was watching today, Stephen A. Smith say he think it's time. Do you think it's time for him, Isaiah, based on what Stephen A. Smith says?
I don't listen to no damn Stephen A. Man. He's always got some crap to say about somebody, man. Listen, man. Tomlin has never had a losing season, man. You got to understand something. His record is better than a lot of. I mean, he's the oldest coach been in there for the longest right now, but he's never had a losing season. Even the ones that you say, "Oh man, he's getting fired this year," he never had a losing season. So I'll trade him. I'm a Dolphin fan, and we'll freaking jump out of an airplane to have the type of record that he has in Pittsburgh. I mean, the stability alone. Look at how many coaches that we changed here in Miami with the length of time Tomlin been over at Pittsburgh. We got about 10 coaches under our belt. So I don't know whether they're going to get rid of him or not. I mean, he hadn't won a Super Bowl, and that's what they always aspire to do every year, and they hadn't won since Roethlisberger been there. But winning is hard to come by, and he hadn't had a losing season. So I don't see them getting rid of him. No,
but guess what?
Not at all.
Having a winning season every year don't mean much. It don't mean much. They haven't been in the playoffs for over 8 years. Can you justify that one?
Well, a lot of teams are in that
they
same.
Ain't been in the playoffs. you could have 100 winning seasons and go 10 seasons without a playoff berth, and people gonna be talking. That's just the way it is.
That's human nature. But let's see if they get rid of him, because I'm gonna tell you right now, sometimes that grass is not green on the other side, and that's what they realize over in Pittsburgh. So that's why he's been.
I think it would be a disaster on both sides of it. I think the Steelers, if they were to let him go, I don't know if they can find the right person to come in there to turn that team. And if he goes somewhere, I mean, what's the chances of him being able to turn another team around, especially a losing team, if that's the case? If a losing teams hire him, that would be one thing, So I think Pittsburgh might want to just hold on to him a little bit longer, as far as I'm concerned.
I think it's time for a change.
And you're being honest about it, because a lot of people are. So the question still is, he has not made the playoffs in that long run. And how do you justify? Let me ask you this, Isaiah. If any other coach wouldn't have made the playoffs in 8 years and some change, would you say that they need to stay, or would they need to go? I mean, that's just a question that needs to be asked to anyone, because if you ain't making the playoffs, you're killing the whole purpose of you having a season, as far as I'm concerned. You could have a winning season every year. That don't mean nothing. At the end of the day, people, they want to go to the playoffs.
My judgment on this thing is because of the Rooneys and how they like the stability of having that same coach until the coach either retire or something happens, other than them firing them. Because I don't never recall them ever firing a coach. Because I mean, I don't know whether they didn't make the playoffs.
They've only had 4 coaches in franchise history.
In history, right? Yeah. And that's why I don't think they're gonna get rid of them this year. But any other organization where they would have been eclipsed, the Rooneys are the one made that rule for minorities to even get, an interview to be a coach. So I don't know whether they're going to do it. I do not know. They might pull him in the side and tell him to go resign or something like that, something behind the table. But I don't see them flat out just going in there and say, listen, man, we're getting ready to go in a different direction and fire him. So we'll see. And he's got his way. And I love it. He's got his way of keeping his job, too, because he'll tell you flat out, I got the best job in every facet of professional sports. So he keep his job. He lobbied for himself by saying that.
Well, I can see why he says that, because he makes $12 million a year.
He's making a bank, no, I'm telling you.
Or something close to that.
He's one of the top ones, DC. I seen that a couple years ago. He was right at the top. Yep.
Well, it says here $16 million per sources in 2025.
I say that because,
part of a 3-year extension he signed in 2024. So he's rolling up there with the big dogs for sure.
He's one of the big dogs. What you mean? Look at the rest of them. Listen, my Dolphins. You know how much we pay our coach down here?
How much do you pay him? A couple million a year?
He can't even go buy a Pepsi Cola compared to Tom. You're
talking about Mike McDaniel, correct?
Mike McDaniel is not making nowhere near that, man, at all. The only thing he's going to buy him a brand new sweatsuit.
Mike McDaniel ain't worried about what he's making now. He worried about his survival, whether he's going to be there next year or not, because there's a distinct possibility he may not be there. So we'll.
I think they like him, DC. I really think they like him, man, because they could have just threw him out with the bad water when they got rid of the GM. I think they like him for some reason, unless they hire somebody else to go in there and can him. But I really think Stephen and Ross like him.
I do too. I really do, because he's a brainiac. He's definitely an offensive mind. I mean, he be dialing up some of them plays, so he knows his stuff.
I really think that's a strong point. I think he's better as an offensive coordinator than head coach. I really feel like that, man, because to a certain degree, you got these big old 300-pound guys looking over him like he's a 14-year-old child, and some of them don't listen to him. It just was ousted by, some of the players. And, when they was dry stitching on each other about a month ago. And they say these guys come to team meetings late and don't be held accountable. And you can't do that. You can't operate a program like that. The moment a guy's late for a meeting, you send his behind home. You can't come in here today, man. 5 minutes, you can't come in here, dog. Even when Tyreek was there, he was speeding there like he was in a Grand Prix and speeding down back streets and get arrested because he was late. So, nobody never heard about all these things was going on until they start dry stitching on each other. So, and that starts with the head guy. You can't let guys get away with stuff like that.
I think when Dade County Police had Tyreek on the ground, Cheetah, everything flashed in front of him when they yanked him out of that McLaren that he was driving.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, when you get pulled over, you need to be respectful and show respect for law enforcement. That's just the way it is. You could do the opposite and end up on the ground like Tyreek calling his agent Drew Rosenhaus. They're getting ready to arrest me, Drew. Drew, they're getting ready to arrest me, Drew. And that was the thing,
Yeah, you about to make me spit out my drink, man.
So we're gonna wind down this show. Technically, I want to talk a little bit. One last topic, and I want to talk a little bit about Shedeur Sanders, and then we're gonna transition over to Prime, Coach Prime. Coach Prime finished at 3-9, by the way, this season. He says that he can turn that program around. And who who's to know? I mean, until we see what he's going to have on the field next year. You think Shedeur is going to be a permanent starter at some point in time in the NFL? Let's start with you, Isaiah.
Yeah, I do, man. I mean, he just got to get settled down. I've listened to several of his press conference. I don't know who's coaching him, or he just is humble as can be right now, man, because he's saying all the right things, DC and Eddie. He's humble. He's gratified with the start. And no, I kind of felt like this. Remember in the beginning of the season, you and I and Najee was talking about it. I knew he was going to get this opportunity. And the thing is, he's got a season. He's got to make the best of it. And so if he's going to take this leadership role, and I think he will have that job, you've got to command that offense. And these linemen got to get comfortable with blocking for you. The receivers got to get comfortable with the route running and all this type of stuff. And he will stay there because I really do think that he's a great quarterback and he'll make it in the NFL. He just needs that opportunity and a chance to keep repping with the first team. Mm-hmm. And that's how he will grow. So I think he's going to be fine. The thing with Prime, actually, I want Prime to step away from it because it's embarrassing now, DC, to watch his team.
So why you say it's embarrassing, though, just out of curiosity before you continue on, what's the most embarrassing thing that you see that's going on with Coach Prime's team right now to warrant him wanting to leave?
Listen, the losing. It's you're not just getting beat by a field goal. You're getting mopped. In 2 games, I think it was like 100 points they scored on his defense. And he's got Warren Sapp on defense. He's got Marshall Faulk on offense, which Marshall Faulk just took a HBCU job. But they're not answering. They're not making adjustments. They can be getting beat by 20, 30 points in the first half, and it seems like it get worse in the second half. So this is not sustainable. You can't keep losing like this. And they got a brand new athletic director that's coming in there, and he might make some changes. We don't know that yet. And I don't see him being able to stay losing like this because at first it was the hype with the celebrities and all the money that was in there. It was the beautiful games every week. It was on TV. But now it's just not even great to watch. A team going up and down the field and the mistakes and the penalties that they have. And all that is a reflecting of your head coach, man. You can't blame anybody for that type of play. No matter how you love and admire Prime as an athlete himself, you just cannot do it. They can't sustain this. So I think he's going to be out of there, man. Whether he can walk out on his own because he's got every excuse in the world with his health issues and stuff, so he can leave if he wants. But I just don't see him turning around. Their quarterback hold the ball too long. He can run well, but it's just a matter of them being competitive. It's not even competitive. You get beat by 50 points one game. Oh man, you should be ready to get back into the next weekend to redeem yourself. But then the next team runs the score up on you the same way. That's not a good fit, man, because you're gonna start losing BBLs in the seats at the stadium. So you can't keep doing that. Yeah.
How about you, Eddie?
First thing with Shedeur Sanders, I mean, I saw him yesterday against my Niners, and I don't see him being a full-time NFL starter. I think maybe he can stick around for 2 or 3 years. They have a good coaching staff in Cleveland. He's just, I don't know. He's just not, I don't think he has it.
So he doesn't have that specific mojo. So you think it's Kevin Stefanski's play calling or the way he's coaching him up, or do you think it's just Shedeur is just kind of one of those quarterbacks that he might be a decent backup somewhere? Is that what you're thinking?
I don't think he's a decent backup. I mean, what I saw yesterday is a player who does not progress to his reads. And you
Mm-hmm.
need to progress your reads. And he's a one-read quarterback and done. He holds the ball for too long as well. And they said a stat yesterday that he led college football in sacks.
He did. He did, because I
Okay,
used to get angry with him about holding on to the ball too long.
Yeah.
For
so if you're
sure.
holding the ball too long in college, where you can outrun most of the players, in the NFL, you're not going to outrun a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Okay, and at the end of the day, you're a quarterback. You know, your job is to put the ball in playmakers' hands, and he can't. He doesn't do that. And about Prime, him being at the game yesterday in a suite, that tells you right there his commitment is not to his program. So as a player, who are you going to play for? And it's a violent game. It's a short game. Short game meaning that you don't play it for too long. So what are you doing on a Sunday afternoon in an NFL stadium in a suite when you have a college program to run? That's a commitment issue right there.
Mm-hmm.
So that leads it leads to
Their
questioning.
season is over, right? Their season is over, Eddie.
It doesn't matter, man. This week you have recruitment. It's signing day this week. You need to be with your program. Your son, he's getting paid. He's in the NFL. He made it. He made it. I understand as your kid and all that, but it's the same thing going back with Lane Kiffin leaving the kids behind. It's the same thing. You don't leave your kids behind. You stay there, even if the season's over. I don't see that. That doesn't fall right in my eyes. You know, and to top it off, everything that you just mentioned, he's getting beat up every week. What does that tell you? There's commitment issue there. There's definitely commitment issues there. So, I mean, Prime, I loved him as a player, but as a coach, I'm not a big fan of his. It's just too much of a spotlight he puts on himself, and he puts added pressure to kids. And as a coach, you're supposed to do the opposite. Reduce the pressure on your kids. Bring it up to yourself. But he brings a lot of attention. And not for the right reasons. You know, if you win, maybe it'll be the right reason, but you're not winning.
Mm-hmm.
You're not winning. So that's my take on Coach Prime.
Well, here's my take on Shedeur as well. I think Shedeur just needs to, especially during the off season, I think he needs to devote a lot of his time to basic things that he need to be doing, and whatever he needs to do to study film. And I'm pretty sure he's already doing those things, because I don't know for sure. However, I would think that in order to polish and get better at what you're doing, you got to definitely committed to following up and putting in the time. That's really what's going to be the biggest deal, I think, with Shedeur Sanders, whether he's going to survive or not. It looks like we have a commenter, Real Patriot USA says Sanders needs to work on accuracy and decision making. He's a leader, just not sure whether he has the talent. And according to Real Patriot USA, he forces too many throws, and which is true in a lot of cases when I've seen him play.
But that goes back to
one thing, the reason why he do that, because
he needs to submerge and dive himself into film.
He's got to put in that time during the off season. Yeah.
But I don't see it.
He's got to be the first in and the last out, because one of the reasons why I think this needs to be this way is because he's got a brighter light shined on him than any other quarterback in the NFL right now. He's been the talk of the NFL since he got drafted very late in the latest rounds, of course. And, there's a lot of distaste for Coach Prime. I mean, a lot of people tend to not care for his father. I mean, for whatever reason they have. But if your father brought you along to this point, you need to take it from this point, and you need to really polish up your game. And I think he might be okay to survive in the NFL, because if he doesn't, it could be an early exit, just like you said, Eddie. I mean, it could be a quicker exit.
Look, he struggled just to get on a team. So,
because I noticed past quarterbacks in the NFL, the ones who don't study film, you see it on the field. You see the performance. You see the reads. You see the missed opportunities. And I'm not saying Shedeur's like that.
A lot of that stuff too, DC. You guys got to remember he was number 6 in the slot. I mean, he had so many folks ahead of him, you can't even name them all. And that means if you're the sixth guy, you're not even learning the stuff because you're not getting an opportunity to get on the field. He's like a rusty guy who's just sitting there watching the game because he's not getting those reps. In a practice of 3 hours during practice session, how many reps is he going to get as a sixth or fifth stringer a guy? He just was hanging on, barely hanging on. So he's just brand new to this stuff, man. I want him to get a shot. He's the head guy now. Going into next season, he's going to get all the reps that you can imagine. So then you will see the true Sanders. Other than that, you're not going to see a true Sanders because he's not getting the reps. This offseason, he needs to be bottled down with his receivers.
Absolutely.
Before the season started, with the playbook, he needs to be sleeping this thing all year round. So when next year come around, he will be sharp. And that's what he needs to do because, yeah.
Do you recall when my guy Brock Purdy made his NFL debut against your Miami Dolphins?
Brock Purdy, yeah.
Yeah. My guy was on the practice squad running. He was running
Mr. Irrelevant.
the scout team.
Mr. Irrelevant.
It doesn't get lower than that. And when his opportunity came, the glove fit, and he ran with it.
Well, this is what I'm saying now.
The kid submerged himself into, like what DC mentioned, a lot of videotapes. And it also helps that he was a 4-year starter in college. That helps a lot. So sometimes when you want to push the envelope, when you want that spotlight, then you got to take on the responsibilities. And right now it's showing that he has not taken on the responsibilities.
Well, that fact remains to be seen. I think that he's going to understand his role and he'll step up to the plate. That's what I think he's going to do because he's in the fire now. So he needs to do everything what we just talked about. And that thing, what I'm telling you, you got to spend hours and hours and hours of film because you got to be able to make that adjustment because one thing the reason why he hold the ball so long is because he had so much speed in college. And sometimes you overthink things because you're faster than some other folks. But it don't work like that in professional football, man. And it didn't even work even in college sometimes because he respects his speed so much. He will hold the ball and he's trying to wait until these receivers open up before he throw the ball. And sometimes it's too late and you get a sack. So he got to understand that.
They mentioned a stat yesterday that he was the 42nd starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. 42.
That is crazy, and that is insane.
Insane.
Yeah.
They said that him and Jerry Jeudy had words on the sideline yesterday. I didn't see it, but
I saw it.
So what do you make out of that? Do you make anything of it, or is it just another receiver quarterback kind of interaction that you could see in any particular game? And was it that serious, or was it not?
I mean, it wasn't serious. It was just more of a competitor wanting to bring the best out of his quarterback and lift them up.
Yeah, that's all.
That's how I take it.
That's all it was.
Yeah, that's all it was. Now, the quarterback answered back, and of course, again, when you put the spotlight on yourself, you're always going to have it. And the Sanders, that's their specialty. That's their specialty, and that's the reason why a lot of teams didn't take the risk with him because they don't want that circus around. It's tough. It's very tough. So you put added pressure. Again, it goes back to you put added pressure that there's no need for that. There is no need for that. So even yesterday, that was just two competitors two good teammates trying to help each other out. That's the way I see it.
Right.
That's the way it is.
Well, one thing is for sure that when you, at least from the draft perspective and from what there were allegations that he, I guess Prime and him said that they didn't want to go certain places, that might have hurt him too.
Well, that arrogance right there can always hurt you, man.
Yeah, that'll hurt you.
You want to try to dictate somebody else's pocketbook. It don't work for you, man. That don't work at all.
Right.
You be humble enough to say, okay, this guy want to take a chance on me because you just think about. We talk about this all the time, DC. When you just think about the amount of folks that leave out of college every year who never get this opportunity. And in the first team that say that we're going to take a chance on you, you don't freaking swindle that thing away into, well, we're not going there because they're not a good team. You got to be humble enough to say, I'm going to go over there and make them better. I'm going to go over there and
That's
change
right.
this team. I'm going to go there. That's what you got to do. Instead of wanting to pass up on me, I don't want to play for you. Come on, man.
Yeah, that wasn't. I don't think that if it actually was indeed true, I don't think that was a very smart thing to do or say, because whoever draft you, you go and play, and you put your talent out there on the field, on display, so you could get better and help a team get better. That's the way I see it. So anyway. But we'll wrap this show up tonight. We had a really good show. I love the topics that we talked about. Do you guys love the topics that we were talking
Absolutely.
about tonight?
Yes. Beautiful.
Yeah, because I thought we hit on a lot of good topic points and a good fine points. They kind of bring out kind of a lot of context in a lot of different cases when it comes to players' performance, coaches' performance, team performance, and things of that sort. And we're just getting into the nitty gritty, fam. I'm telling you right now that once these conference championships take place and these teams start to play into this playoff system, it's going to get really interesting. And we're going to continue to cover it. We're going to continue to cover the NFL and the latest and greatest news, because we always cover current news, whether it's football related or whether it's sports related or not. So we want you to continue to join us. We want you to continue to participate and continue to subscribe to us, because if you like what we're doing, we love what you're doing, and we love what we're bringing to you. So I'm going to go ahead and close the show out, and I'm going to start with Eddie.
Once again, thank you for the invitation. Amazing show. This one was better than the first, and the next one will be better than this one.
Absolutely. Y'all better get used to Eddie, because Eddie is going to be here with us for quite some time. So get used to Eddie for sure.
Thank you, DC. Thank you once again. Isaiah, thank you very much.
Yeah,
And
you're
to all
welcome.
you out there, thank you for tuning in. And please be active. Tell us what is it you like.
Absolutely. We have Freebird Tony on here, and like I say, he's a guy of my heart. And Freebird Tony, he came and he joined us when we first started, and he's stuck with us up until now. He grew up in Miami. He lives out in Southern California with me now, but he says, good show, guys. Thank you, Tony. We always appreciate you. You always bring us good topic ideas. Tony mentioned today about Dwight Stevenson, the ex-center, retired center from the Miami Dolphins, one of the best centers in the game of football, historically speaking. Hall of Famer. Upstanding guy, high character, and Tony just stressed how special he felt when he met Dwight Stevenson and his family, and down in Miami, and they had the time of their life. He was, like I say, when it came to protecting Marino and Woodley and all them guys, he did the best job any center could have done to protect. So we appreciate your experience with Dwight Stevenson, Tony. So we expect more experiences to come our way. And I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Isaiah.
Yeah, I'm glad Tony mentioned the things about Dwight Stevenson, because Dwight Stevenson has been a guy who, the moment he got here in South Florida with the Miami Dolphins, he injected himself in the community, always did charitable work here, and he was a huge light for young kids to admire. And this is beautiful to see him still active too with the community. But for the show, I love the fact that we had great content. You guys can tell your friends and your family and your co-workers to continue to patronize us. It's been a beautiful thing. This is going to be the height of football now, because the playoffs will be coming for football and the NFL, and then we got the playoffs will be here for the college thing too. So watch it all, and we'll be commenting on it next week. Take care of yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that. Join our Facebook community and join our community over, at YouTube, because we're going to be putting some special things out. And we got some upcoming things that we're going to be doing, giveaways and all of those type of things. So just make sure you stay with us and watch us grow with us, because we want you to grow along with us, because we consider you family. So please take care of yourself, take care of your mental health, take care of your physical health. And, if you're in need of help, ask for it. Don't just sit and not ask for help, because a lot of people are too proud to ask somebody to help them. But ask for help, and if you can help someone who you see are in dire need of help them. Don't even have them ask you, just reach out and help them, because people sometimes, they be going through crisis in their life, and they go through a lot of things. I mean, we've all been through something in our life. So if you're there to help one person, it will make a world of difference. So make sure you continue to watch us, and Najee will be back with us soon. Take care of yourself. Peace, love, and prosperity. Take it easy.